الحضور الكريم، ندعوكم الآن لحضور الجلسة السادسة وما قبل الأخيرة من جلسات اليوم تحت عنوان الذكاء الاصطناعي من أجل الازدهار، تعزيز النمو الاقتصادي وتحفيز التغيير الاجتماعي.
Esteemed attendees, we now invite you to attend the sixth session titled AI and HI for Prosperity, Fueling Economic Growth and Social Change.
تضم هذه الجلسة كل من الدكتور أيمن الشربيني رئيس سياسات تكنولوجيا المعلومات والاتصالات في لجنة الإسكوا.
The session features a range of speakers, including Dr. Ayman al-Sharbini, Chief of ICT Policies and Digital Development, ESCWA.
لطيف الشحي مدير إدارة بيانات الاستثمار في وزارة الاستثمار الإماراتية.
لطيف الشحي, Director of Investment Data Department, Ministry of Investment in the UAE.
كارستن سنيدكر رئيس تطوير الأعمال في مؤسسة داينكس للتطوير.
Karsten Snedger, Global Head of Business Development at Dynex Development.
وتدير الجلسة الإعلامية مايا حجيج.
This session will be moderated by Maya Hajej from Sharq News, Bloomberg. Welcome on stage. Pleasure.
Thank you everyone for staying with us this afternoon. Albert Einstein said, we can't solve problems by using the same kind of thinking we used when we created them. So, as you say on your website, Karsten, on your documentary, I took that from your documentary, we will be talking about AI and how it affects our lives and the changes that we need to develop in order to adapt and adopt all these changes and make it work for humanity, for the economy, and for everything else around it. I will start with you, Dr. Ayman, if you may allow me. Let's talk about, from a policy perspective, if we may. How do you think governments in the MENA region can create policies and balance the rapid adoption of AI with keeping ethical considerations in mind?
Okay, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the question, Maya. It's a very important question, starting the session with those who are really responsible for the populations, the citizens, the generations, which are governments. So governments have a very important role to play among other stakeholders. So who is going to set the policies or set the strategies or make the standards or at least be the spearhead or the custodian of these processes, except those who are entrusted the responsibility of these citizens and generations. So it is the government. But is it the government alone? It cannot work without a multi-stakeholder model where setting the policies needs the engagement of the innovation community, the academia, as well as the private sector, and those who
but shouldn't you set policies for that to regulate it?
Exactly. The point is, first of all, that we have to have it all together, do it all together.
Okay.
And this multi-stakeholder policy-making environment, of course, has an owner at the end, which is the government who will take these policies and implement it, fund it, or legislate parts of it, and so on. But before speaking more about the policy-making process itself, there is also an important aspect for our part of the world, which is the regional dimension. So it is very important also to understand that one country and one government cannot do it alone. Okay. And there should be not only best practices learned from the others, but also common grounds for having a bigger scope of a region that has interoperability of standards. It has common ethical values to share and set, and many other things. So these are the main, let us say, paradigms: multi-stakeholder and multi-regional. The third one is multi-sectoral. For the AI to have a real national policy that make sense, we have to also take into consideration that it is not the ICT sector, the digital sector, the innovation ministry only, but all the sectors of a country needs to be engaged. So that is one level. The other level, maybe we can talk about it later, not to take a lot of time, but what should be in national policy and regional policy. I'd just like to give an example for what is happening in the region, if you give me a few minutes. So in the region here, we have many national digital agendas and national AI policies and so on. And also we have these regional ones. So
it's different in each country.
That is the beauty of it. I mean, you have a common platform, like a least common denominator, which is saying that all the countries in the region subscribe to. We have a regional digital agenda, Arab digital agenda, 2023-2033. And in it, there is many aspects. And the AI is among the digital technologies that are there. In addition, there is a specific, let us say, Arab vision for the AI, Arab vision for the artificial intelligence with its components. It's like a regional thematic strategy. And this is applied also in the cybersecurity. We have the global Arab digital agenda and cybersecurity agenda for the region, and so on and so forth. So we have a panoramic and we have thematic. This is a best practice in policy making. In specific, the idea of ethics comes as part of many other components in a policy. There is best practices, but I want to bring one message to the audience that those countries who are leading the world in AI, the US, UK, China, and these, they have policies.
Okay.
So the idea of not having a policy is not a luxury, is not an option. And when the policies were instigated, and most of these countries did the policies in 2015, 16, 17, this part, they excelled.
Yeah, but they're still not regulatory. They're just suggestive.
The regulation is another method.
Okay.
It's another mechanism that can balance benefits of the society with the benefits of the economy, the competition with the, let us say, dominant, like front runners. And this is an instrument. But the governance at large, the idea of a policy at large, is more flexible than the regulations. But regulation is needed to create the right balance between risks and benefits.
So when we look at this, and that is from a policy perspective, we also move to look at the landscape, what is available in the investment landscape. Latifa, let me ask you how the UAE has positioned itself as a leader in creating ecosystems for AI startups, for innovation hubs. What are the next steps? Now, maybe policy, like Doctor said, is very important, but also what is on the ground? Tell us about it.
So, first of all, thank you so much for having me on this amazing panel with these amazing guests. I would start off with the vision of the UAE. Now, back in 2001, when His Highness launched the first e-government initiatives to take our main services to the internet revolution. And that started where the notion of if you do not have the right data, you won't have the right AI. So the whole aspect is how can we digitalize our services to the digital world? Once the government started doing that, we moved to the second generation, which is the smart government, where we had all of these smart apps and smart meters. You heard about these things. And now we're in the digital revolution. So the fourth industrial revolution, where the whole Internet of Things comes into play. And when we talk about our government and we talk about the vision that we have, it was set clearly by the first minister of AI. And the UAE took a lead in that. And the first strategy of artificial intelligence to support building the policy landscape in the UAE. And that set us up where we are today, where we have chief digital or chief AI officers in each government institution in the UAE. Now, this is very much important. It's not only having the right people in place, but also having the right ecosystem. And when I say ecosystem, I talk about all of these different innovation hubs. Today in Dubai, we have the IFC FinTech Hub that support us in the FinTech landscape. In Abu Dhabi, we have Hub 2071 also to support the incubation of these ideas from seed to scale and then to be an investor. And this is maybe as we've seen in Kareem. So Kareem started off with a small company to today being sold to Uber. So these are the kinds of initiatives that we have, but not forgetting the most important thing. As I mentioned, when we have the right data, we can create AI. And in government, we have an open data portal, which is one of the initiatives that was set by the government to share government data to the startups, to the researchers, to the institutions that want to also leverage the ecosystem that the government has and the government creation to create those startups and applications. I'll just give you one example. If anyone here went and ordered something on an app called UDrive, UDrive is actually using parking data that's accessible and available for everyone to use. And it's an API available from the government to the public. So these are the types of things that the government set forth in order to support the ecosystem, having the right policymakers in place, having the right data in place as well to support the ecosystem. And the third pillar, which is the education. So today, the UAE has the Mohammed bin Rashid AI University, and it's one of the first graduate-led university of its kind in the world. So these are the things the government set in order to support the ecosystem in the UAE.
So we spoke policy, we spoke ecosystem investment. Carson, before we delve into something more specific, I have a question for you because I did ask you before, but I'd like to share it with our audience. What is, and I have to read this, neuromorphic quantum computing? We've been talking about quantum computing a lot lately. What's neuromorphic? What does it add? What does it identify? Why?
Thank you. And thank you for the invitation for this panel. It's a true pleasure. Basically, what we are doing is that we are providing emulated quantum computing, meaning that we do not offer a physical quantum computing, but we offer a digital twin of a physical quantum computing running on conventional GPUs.
Okay.
And for this to work optimally, we are providing the algorithm with a technology that is emulating our brain, the way our brain works. So we are combining...
But better.
But better.
Or better performing.
Better
I don't
performing,
know.
high performing.
Better. Okay.
So we are solving, we are putting quantum computing with neuroscience, basically.
We were talking before, and before Latifa did mention the fourth industrial revolution and going into the revolution after revolution. Does this open a door for the next revolution? Will it be in AI? And in that context, how are you at Dynex leveraging AI to reshape industries? How does it help?
Yes, first and foremost, today is the day where you will experience things the most slow. Tomorrow, things will go much faster.
Tomorrow, yeah.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, every day.
And the reason why it's going much faster exponentially is because we are living in times of a coalition of exponential technologies, meaning exponential technologies that are merging on top of each other. And that demands and new kind of way to look at compute going forward. And that is a problem, a dilemma, what we have right now, because we are now facing a shortage of compute, facing a shortage of computer chips. So we need to find different ways to get all these amazing technologies we have at hand to work together. And this is what we're doing in Dynex. But what we're doing as well, we are addressing the ethical dimension. So everything we're doing is based on an ethical dimension, meaning that we have any kind of ethical integrity built into our systems. So we are making sure that our technology is not used for harm.
How do you guarantee that?
So we have a sophisticated system that flags any compute in our system if there's any malicious compute happening.
Okay. All right. I'll move back to Dr. Ayman. Doctor, in your experience, what role do governments play when combined with international organizations and between local governments, corporations, and international organizations? How does that collaboration bring together, let's call it a better strategy, let's say?
Okay. That is a timely question because this complements what I said. I said national and regional should get together, but now your question is about the international.
Okay.
The international is actually the place where everything is being made. If we look at the environment, you cannot regulate the environment in one country while the neighboring countries has different
Okay.
legislations. The globe, global warming, this green effects, and so on, green gas effects. So the same was in the internet era. The internet, when it was there and as a global public good, there was a need for global internet governance. And nowadays, 2 months ago, in the UN General Assembly number 79, we had been successful as the United Nations to bring all nations together to the Summit of the Future. And in the Summit of the Future, we have tackled 11 different topics, and we came up with several outcomes. But let me put it clear. We have now a pact for the future, which is something that is really far-fetched, something that we need to imagine together. And one of these things was the digital domain.
Okay.
Part of it is the AI. So we have now issued Global Digital Compact, whereas part of it is basically, it is not there already. It is for the first time directions towards governance of the data, plus governance of the AI. So these two areas are not governed so far. And through this global aggregation or gathering assembly of nations, we have now a common set of commitments that we share, and all the countries subscribe to after negotiations for 2 years. And this will set the pace of the evolution of the AI and data in an ethical and inclusive manner that has not been there before.
Okay. It will set a stage. To what extent what role will it play in advancing both AI and HI, human intelligence, as tools, and looking at them as tools to look at sustainable economic growth in the future?
Of course, there is a very close proximity between the use of AI and economic growth. We all know that there is a very direct relationship between increased use of AI with productivity, with efficiency, with many other things that boosts the profitability and thus the economic growth. And having said that, we should also, and as the session and your question is, see the human dimension. Not only the human dimensions, the HI thing, but the human dimension in terms of aspirations of people, the health of people, the values of people, and the rights of people. So these things are all factored in this Global Digital Compact to create what I said, the balance in inclusive and equitable growth, inclusive and equitable sustainable development, not only for the humans, but as Monica has said in her introduction, but for the planet we live in and for the life, the biological life that we have underwater, above water, which is SDGs. So bringing all this together through the UN, I think we feel how blessed we are that we are working to that noble cause for the next generations.
Latifa, when we talk about how AI is reshaping everything, industries, and reshaping the world, and even our thrive for the SDGs in the future, we look for opportunities. Where do you find opportunities that will help in the development, that will help in the growth, that will help in the innovation? Where are the opportunities in AI?
So maybe echoing a little bit what Dr. mentioned is we look about it on 3 perspectives. So how does it support the social aspect? How does AI support the environmental aspect? And how does AI support the economic aspect? I'll just give you a little bit of numbers. So today, productivity in companies who use AI is 40% growth. When we look at sustainability today, if anyone here used the DIWA Smart Monitor app, that you can not only use your data, but understand your data, it also shows you and compares with AI features what your neighbors and people in the same area that's living in the same area are using their electricity bill. So these are some small tools that we can use.
There's a very thin line here when it comes to privacy, no?
Mostly it's when we look at data privacy and when we look at the use of AI, today there is a lot of tools and ethics that's in play. it's most important that we look at when it comes to, for example, what's topics that's important for me is like gender data. If we look at gender data and bias and ethics that AI needs to bring, for example, if you put a prompt on DALI, for example, to show me a picture of a doctor, most probably that doctor would be a male. And if you say, show me an image of a nurse, it would show you a female. So these are some of the things that we can look forward and opportunities where we can bring using AI. The second thing is how AI is disrupting the way we live. For example, in our cities, the way we communicate, how we talk to one another, the way we educate ourselves. Today, there's a tool that personalized learning is called Squirrel AI, and it does very well on hyper learning and personalized learning for students. There are other tools today. If anyone here is wearing a Whoop watch, we all know Whoop. So if you're wearing a Whoop watch, it gives you an indication about your strain and what is your challenges and how well you slept. And so AI is a tool that supports your everyday life. Today, if we look at entertainment, today we all have Netflix or use Spotify, for example, for music. And it supports us using AI to have a better life, to support us in our everyday tasks as well.
But then doesn't that take away some options? You know, if it's giving you, like when you talk about the choices, it's feeding you what you want to see. Doesn't that take away some options? I'll take that question to you, Karsten. When we look at AI and HI, how do you combine the both to come up with a better user experience, better business strategy, business plan for the future? How can you do that? How can we avoid breaking privacy? How can we make sure that we are getting everything, and not only, if I like romance, I'm only going to get romance films. If I'm concerned about gender, I'm only going to get something that is relevant to what I care about.
Yeah, today we are looking at a revolution is what is happening on AI. We're going from AI to single systems to multi-agent systems. And that is a revolution for many reasons, because that's going to empower AI to talk to other AIs, to be more decentralized. And it's going to give us ultimately the power to ourselves, how we control privacy and how we control what we're going to do with those multi-agent systems. So we would sit with the key in the end. What is interesting as well is that, I mean, in terms of privacy, we'll see with the key to privacy, we'll see with the key to what kind of data we want to share, how we want to handle our data, how we want to handle our compute, ethical, and how we want to treat our data and share this with everyone else to increase opportunities. What I believe is going to happen in a very short time is that as these AI multi-agent systems are getting more and more widespread, we know from the past 10 years that price will go down. So it's about affordability and it's about accessibility. And that's going to create a complete new world from what we see at this moment in time. I'm going to give you one example. I have a friend here in the Emirates, which the Emirates is the place of new emerging technologies happening. He is running 7 companies that
at the same time.
At the same time, which in 2 years ago should be run by 200 employees each, but he's now running them single-handed by use of AI. Now, what I'm going with this is that we are seeing AI changing the opportunities for humankind, where we suddenly can create growth and opportunity and prosperity for individuals that never had the chance to compete in this arena before.
Karsten, does humanity have the resilience to withstand? No, let me change the question, not humanity. Does the economy have the resilience to withstand all those changes? And then does humanity?
Yeah, I think humanity, we want to control what we don't know.
Okay.
So, and we don't know what we don't know. But I think what we see here in the Emirates is that we are seeing technology is laid out and governments is working with technology to make it work. And in this way, we are finding a way to have a symbiosis between humankind and AI, and how human intelligence can leverage AI for the areas that AI is not supposed to do.
Okay. Dr. Ayman, if we look from this perspective, there's always the fear that AI will change our lives. Some countries don't have the infrastructure for this. We talk about the MENA region. You spoke about policies. You spoke about how to come up with one uniform, maybe, strategy. Again, we said it was suggestive. But just like I asked my other guests, do you think that the region can withstand these changes? Jobs, there are certain areas that do not have the infrastructure to withstand this huge data, transformation, AI. How will those communities handle it?
Okay, that is an important question because of the nature of the world that we have with no boundaries, actually. There will be an effect. And the question of yours, the answer of it is very difficult because we have two things that we tackle the AI through. Either use it or produce it. So with low infrastructure in some countries, with low readiness in some countries, they will not be able to do both.
Okay.
But not being able to develop and not being able to use will really get them out of the job market.
Okay.
There is a huge risk in losing some jobs if you are not able not to provide, to develop, and not even to use. So that is a great risk. For example, I have been talking to an Uber driver a week ago, and I found that because of the skills he has a job outside of the country here with Europe and with a global ecosystem and so on and so forth. But part of his job, I understand that probably it will be like replaced because of the automation of the AI. So because of that, he will lose a job that he doesn't understand why there is not going to be a demand for him in the future. So we have to be ready for that, to at least keep the people having jobs and not being replaced. And the other layer is that you use it and you be part of it because you are not now replaced, you are there and having a job. But the best thing is that you create the businesses. You create the job
Doctor, what
for
do
the
you
others,
expect?
and you become on top of it. And therefore, you have to do the basics. The basics is we have to keep investing in infrastructure. We have to be very savvy in our innovation strategies and innovation culture, and invest in R&D heavily, big time in R&D, and choose the right spot in the supply chain. Which part of the supply chain is our engineers and data science and so on and so forth well equipped to be there and compete. And that is another thing, and that we need to work on it in the think tanks and in the countries to understand what is the competitive advantage of our generation, human capital, to fit into the new ecosystem.
Karsten, you had
I totally agree, and I think one important element is the notion of education, upskilling, reskilling, so everyone is part of this journey. We need to make it inclusive, what we're talking about. We need to have everyone included into this technology journey, because without this inclusion on the educational, we are losing entire generations and also losing opportunities for the greater good, what AI can do.
So what do you think is needed today? If we speak about a region like the MENA region, I know the UAE, Saudi Arabia, they are working heavily on the infrastructure, even Kuwait, I think. But the rest of the region might be struggling when it comes to infrastructure. What can we do to help?
I think that we will see a new flow of education that is more edutainment. That is our Instagram, our different social media. They will flow us with different kinds of upgrading our knowledge about this. So it will be edutainment that will start this wave, but it needs to be followed up with actual proper educational modules that we can do online as we're now used to.
Latifa, let's talk about these educational models and the future of work. When we look at what we speak about jobs being cancelled and all that, there are suggestions, there are ways to integrate maybe AI and HI within the platforms of a gig economy. Where do you see that?
So just echoing what my colleagues have mentioned, I would just give you a number. So
I like numbers, yes.
According to the World Economic Forum, 85 million jobs will be displaced by automation by 2025. But AI will create 97 million new roles.
Okay.
So when we think about AI, we think about three things. How we can first, as my colleague mentioned, educate, how we can upskill and reskill some of our employees, some of our colleagues, and not only that, our family members, our friends to use and leverage these technologies. I'll give you an example. Today, my grandma, she doesn't know how to use AI, but she knows how to pick up a phone and say, I want this and that. So how can we also not forget the people who are not only not using AI, but also these different multimodal concepts that AI brings. Today, you can take a picture of an image and say, what is this? How can you fix a bike? How you can support in terms of providing AI with documents and telling it to summarize it for you. And as Carlson has mentioned, today we see AI agents coming into play. So first of all, it's important to educate the people, whether in our societies or across the board. Second, I would say, how can we embed? And now the UAE government has done this very well, where we appointed chief AI officers in every ministry. And their mandate is actually to take some of these embedment within their organizations. How we can look at processes. Today, I think most of you have heard with the zero bureaucracy concept. The main thing of that is how we can also look at our systems, our processes, and how it has been created for the past and how we can operationalize it and make it more efficient. And the third is how we can innovate. So how can we really bring in the AI technologies to support us with unleashing the good within our technologies, unleashing the good within our organizations, and unleashing the good, and as we mentioned, coming back to AI for good. So for us, it's not AI that we need to run away from. It's AI that we need to embrace within our organizations.
Dr. Ayman, how do you think we can embrace AI within the organizations?
First of all, that comes as a derivative of embracing technology, embracing innovation at large. So these are prerequisite cultures and modus operandi for embracing and assimilating the AI. You cannot just come all of a sudden and expect people who are not savvy about technology at all will be savvy in AI. So that is one thing. The other thing, create real problems to be solved. I mean, create business cases for models to be developed and find where is your data and uniqueness about your industry. So try to build your own enthusiastic or passion project using the data and the tools and so on, and bring something to the table through your corporate culture. So that is the known concept of innovation at the periphery. So everyone can be an innovator, and these entrepreneurs are the most important assets within any corporation. The mistakes and errors need to be tolerated, and those who are really brilliant needs to be left in their own space without being very conformant to rules and policies and things like that. So that is a question of innovation culture and technological assimilation. And then AI comes when there is data and a solution to try to solve.
You wanted to say something.
Just to mention one thing, it's all about our leaders here and people who are joining the session. It's job to innovate the people who are not here. So you are interested, that's why you are here with us in this panel. So these people who are interested within our organization, it's very important from my experiences to highlight them, to showcase them, and as well to leverage AI and use it within our organizations and create train the trainer concept within. Before we had the concept of data champions, today we're moving to AI champions as well. So the champions are the ones who would drive change within each and every department within the organization. So it's very important to find them and make them a part of your ecosystem and your culture in order to leverage AI at scale, as I mentioned. And most of us, we forget to innovate. So we always give space for the employees in order to bring in these new technologies. So it's very, I'd say, changing now the revolution of having awards, having AI Fun Day, having AI Fests, if you've heard about these concepts. These concepts really bring in the, I'd say, the younger generation with the generation who are willing to change, and for this, it becomes a power from within the organization to create that change as well.
Karsten, how do we use AI in order to optimize the gig economy and creating all these opportunities without sacrificing human intelligence or humans?
That's a big question, and I think it starts with the human creativity. And human creativity needs to be leveraged by AI, and we need to use this as our guiding milestone about what do we want to achieve with AI, and how would we envision where we as humankind will go with AI. Because we are in fact on the edge of something fundamentally changing. We are in a deep shift paradigm right now, and this is the amazing time. Deep shift paradigm is here and now for humankind. And again, I think there are three things. One is availability of infrastructure, internet, education. The other part is easy accessibility, tools to easy engage with technology. And number three, it needs to be affordable.
Okay. I mean, affordable. Why does it need to be affordable?
Because we cannot afford not to lose anyone out.
Okay.
So we need to include everyone into this.
Dr. Ayman, I'll go back to you, and maybe we start wrapping up our session a little. If we want to say, looking at our topic, the three most important takeaways for you, and what should we do next? What is the call to action from here?
Okay, the first thing, we need really to envision the future. If you want to control the future, just make it. So that is the first thing. You have to have foresight. When I say you, means the country, the corporate leader, the government leader, and the world leaders. So that is the first thing. Start by the end in mind, the future. The other thing, engage everyone and leave no one behind in the engagement process of shaping the future. And third thing, like think big. Don't really create any barriers to your thinking of your capabilities. On the contrary, it's a greenfield future. So the future is not yet there, and we can have our part in this new world. And this, what I told you about, we have this conference with this slogan, our vision, our world, our future. And hopefully we have you in it end of February, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Thank you.
Doctor, when we were having lunch before our session, we were speaking to a very, very interesting young lady who was sitting with us, and she was telling us about stop thinking about the negative, stop thinking way far ahead, what is going to happen, how is the world going to change. Think about how we can utilize AI today and tomorrow. We were talking to Monica, who had the session this morning, how we can look beyond the today and the tomorrow and see what this earth is giving us, develop it using AI. Karsten, because I'd like to end with our beautiful lady, so I'll go to Karsten first and ask you, in conclusion, what would be the three takeaways for you, and what is the action plan moving forward?
My takeaways here is that we need to have a very close relationship with governments. As companies, we can simply not afford not to engage with governments about how we want to leverage AI. Both ways. How can companies support governments? How can governments support companies? Policies, regulations, and also the entire opportunity of giving accessibility for this technology, meaning that we cannot restrict technology, but we need to be aware of what we're doing with technology.
And for me, I'd say, maybe echoing a little bit what my colleagues have mentioned, is we always forget about the data. And with no trusted data, there is no trusted AI. So for us, it's all about going back to the data, making sure you have digitalized your data, making sure you standardize it and created the right data quality, and looking at master data management, looking at the inventory of your data in order to create the proper AI. The second thing is how we can educate and the growth mindset, as we say here in the UAE. So how can you have a growth mindset about all of these new technologies? Give yourself 1 hour a day and go around and play with a new tool. It's fine. Give yourselves that space. And the third, I'd say, is look for the future. And as Dr. Khalili mentioned, dream big. And this is how we dream in the UAE. We dream very big. For us, it's not about just building Jace and Falcon. It's about building the future of this technology, which is artificial intelligence.
So you think if we'd say the call to action would be dream big?
Dream big, I'd say.
Dream big, and maybe have social consciousness when we look at it. I'll ask, I think we have a bit more time to ask one last quick question. If we look at the title of our session, it's called AI and HI for Prosperity. So when we talk about prosperity, we're talking about fueling of economic growth and social change. If we want to balance, and please don't tell me 50-50, if we're going to balance, how would you, Doctor, balance between economic growth and social change?
Okay, Dr. Jeffrey Sachs has tried to find the balance in the other indices outside the economic growth. Of course, economic growth is fundamental part of the prosperity paradigm, but there is also the indicator of happiness, for example, and other indicators. So that is bring us again to the philosophical position, which is the physical matter, the technology, and the biological being, which are the humans plus in the nature. So that is the balance, and that I'm not escaping the question of the economic or the social, but I'd like to bring it back to the human element that we need to consider. Not everything is just the money. Of course, it's a tool. It is an enabler, but we need also to preserve our values and our inner peace to continue our species.
If I may add, like, if we look at today, Dubai and Abu Dhabi and the Global Livability Index, which is looking at well-being, looking at quality of life, looking at affordability of the country, looking at education, looking at all of the system. Today, the UAE is ranked one of the top in the Middle East, where we look at Dubai and Abu Dhabi. So these are the types of things we think about. And I've heard a lot of stories from expats coming to the UAE. They're like, Latifa, we came for 3 months and we're here for 10 years. And these are stories,
now,
and this is how the UAE is differentiating itself, is how can we support not only taking the AI, but putting it in our whole ecosystem as well.
Karsten, economic growth, social change.
I think we're going to witness a change, a social change that we have not seen before. Because with AI in the hands of each and everyone, leveraging human creativity, we will see new solutions being born that we haven't yet been thinking about. Humans interacting with AI, providing new solutions to our social challenges.
Thank you very, very much. As we recognize the transformative potential of artificial intelligence to enhance human well-being, to drive economic growth, we also always acknowledge that these technologies will require upskilling and adaptation in the labor market. And of course, there's the possibility of misuse. Hence, the need to always keep the conversation going, to come up with ideas where AI and HI will help us in fueling economic growth and social change. And as Latifa said, allow me to end with this: dream big so that we achieve what we want. Thank you very much, my dear guests.